Hello and welcome back to another episode of my MotoGP 23 career mode, and today we're here for the 15th round of our full Moto3 season for the Japanese Grand Prix at Motegi. Now, if you didn't see the last episode at the San Marino Grand Prix, do go check it out because it is quite important, although in fairness it wasn't the most enthralling race. Of course, if you did see that one, you do know that Milestone have patched the AI, made them much slower, and completely changed the dynamic of this season. Now, going into this episode, I have noticed there is a bit of a glitch here. We've got the Japanese Grand Prix, but actually it should be the Indian Grand Prix first, if I'm not mistaken. On the track selection screen, it is the Indian Grand Prix first, and I'm thinking back to my modded MotoGP 22 career mode, where I had the 23 calendar that, of course, I'd inputted correctly, and we did have the fake Indian Grand Prix before we had the Japanese Grand Prix. So, for some reason, in my season here, it is swapped around. Now, I did have a preview build of the game when I started the career mode, so I think my calendar was slightly outdated because, for example, I had Kazakhstan, but I think that's gone now. I think when I go to Moto 2, I won't have Kazakhstan, and probably this bug will be fixed as well. So we've actually got the Japanese Grand Prix and then the Indian Grand Prix, whereas actually it should be the other way around. So I actually did my testing at India, thinking it was going to be the Indian Grand Prix, but oh well, we'll head straight into this weekend anyway. Of course, going into this one, we have actually got a new objective, which of course is to try and beat Ivan Ortola in the next 3 races. You can see there, Japan, India, and Australia. We've got to be ahead of him in the championship, and that's a 39-point deficit that we've got to make up in 3 races. So pretty much impossible, but you never know. In fact, actually, there just isn't an Indian Grand Prix. I've just realised IND is actually for Indonesia, if you look at the categories here. So for some reason, I haven't got an Indian Grand Prix. So I've got Kazakhstan, but not India. Okay, well, no Indian Grand Prix then. It's actually the Indonesian Grand Prix at Mandalika next. But either way, we've got the Japanese Grand Prix now then, and we've got to try to get ahead of Ortola in the championship, which, to be honest, I think is going to be pretty impossible, but you never know. If he has a crash or something, I guess we could do it. Well, we may as well throw out everything that I said in the previous episode and sort of in the intro to this one, because if we're looking at the combined results here, we're currently in FP3, since it was the session with the best conditions. You can see, compared to their current times, how much they're going to gain on the simulations and where that leaves us down at the back. 8 tenths off the rest of the field, and to be honest, I'm only P12 as it is. I was P10 when I came in the pits, so I actually don't really have the pace on this difficulty, so we might actually have to turn the difficulty back down for this episode, which is really, really good, because it seems to be maybe just a Misano specific issue. It did annoy me quite a lot. I was hoping that the AI wouldn't be that slow, and it does seem like they are certainly a bit quicker at Motegi, but we're going to end practice here, and we'll definitely have to go through qualifying 1, because we're going to be at the back of the combined times. So even in this session, we ended up last after I ended the session. You can see I'm 2 tenths off of Stefano Neppa there in 27th place. So yeah, we're certainly going to have to turn the difficulty down quite a bit. Maybe 10%. I'll try that, down to 110. I'm glad that I'm still able to adjust the AI, because I was kind of worried that we would be dominating by like 30 seconds like we did in Misano in every race, but it doesn't seem to be the case, which is really, really good. I would normally have found the AI difficulty before going into this weekend, but of course I did my testing at India, and obviously there wasn't an Indian Grand Prix. It was Motegi, and I didn't want to then go and do that as well. I wanted to just go and record, so I assumed that we'd be about right, because 120 still seemed okay for India, but it does seem like they're perhaps a bit too fast here, which is a surprise, because Motegi has generally been quite a bad track for the AI, because Motegi hard braking. It's such that they go hand in hand, and that's what the AI are bad at. But to be fair, they actually seem pretty decent at this circuit. I suppose it does vary from track to track. I think generally you think that they're bad on the brakes, but that's just because at some tracks they are really bad, whereas others they're not so bad, because obviously they're trained differently for each track. So without any further ado then, let's head into qualifying 1. Hopefully we can try and get out, because, well, we need to win, and we need Ortola to be right at the back. So here we are then in qualifying 1, and of course I have turned the difficulty down to 110 like I said. It is a nice relief that we have had to do that, because I was really, really worried that the rest of the career mode was basically completely ruined by this AI patch, but fortunately it just seems to be a Misano specific issue, which to be fair was something I kind of expected going into the round, even with the previous difficulty. I was thinking that they might be a bit slow and perhaps it could be a bit boring, but at least I still had 20% to play with. And I might have been able to win maybe on 120 on the previous difficulty there, but it wouldn't have been by 30 seconds. Although here, at least, we've set down to 110, and obviously it remains to be seen whether that will be enough. Ogden actually currently top of this session. I mean, of course, no one's actually set times, but it must be based on the combined times. So our teammate definitely improving. It will be interesting to see if he's actually more competitive now, because our objectives are now top 10 finishes rather than top 15, because I completed all the turning points. So the team may be elevated behind the scenes in the game file, so it may make Ogden perform better, but I'm really not too sure. We've got Toba riding around the outside of us, so that's a it's a good start. I mean, I'm in power mode 1, so there is that too. And, oh, he's got a bit wide there. Does seem to be a bit of a weird corner for the AI, that one. There's been a lot of crashes in practice there, so potentially we could see some in the race, which obviously would spice things up. So here we are then, about to start our first qualifying lap here in Q1. Where is Toba going? He's gone all the way out to the long lap penalty there. So here we are then, up towards the line. And we're going to go P2, 2 tenths off of Colin Via. So it's still probably a bit too high. We're probably still going to struggle to get out of Q1 here. So I'm going to improve a bit on this lap because David Alonso has gone even quicker. Unfortunately, we don't improve in position, but we do improve in time. So we're now 12 thousandths away from Vea. But P3 isn't super secure in Q1. So also towards the line then, we're going to do virtually the same lap time again. Not quite an improvement, unfortunately. So we're still P3 for now, 6 minutes to go. We are out of fuel virtually, so I'm going to try and limp it back to the pits. I don't know who that was that did a wheelie in front of us. Was that Rueda, maybe? But whoever that was, it was a massive wheelie out of turn 1. But I'm going to try and make it back to the pits to try and stop the simulated times, but I don't think it's going to do us much good. Well, unfortunately, we haven't gone through the session. I did end the session on track because that does seem to be the way to stop the simulated times. But as you can see, 6 tenths off pole. I suppose it is, in theory, possible. Some of them did improve, but that's just down towards the back end of the grid. So they actually seem really, really strong at this circuit, which again is a massive relief based on how slow they were in the previous round. I'll tell you what, we'll put it back on 100, what we've been using previously. Obviously, I know that was on the old AI that used the power modes better, but maybe they released a new patch and fix it. I don't really know. Or maybe it was just a Misano issue, like I said. I guess we'll have to see over the rest of the season. But of course, obviously that was still unacceptable what happened in Misano. But hopefully it was maybe just a one-off, something like that. So I'll return to the difficulty that we were using before Misano, which I didn't expect I would do going into this episode. And we'll see how we get on in the race, because to be honest, if I just keep it on this difficulty, we're just going to get stuck at the back and it'll just be a bit of a boring, annoying race like we had earlier on in the season, some of the rounds where I probably had the difficulty a bit too high, if I'm being honest. So here we are then, down on the grid for the Japanese Grand Prix. I think it is going to be a bit of a tough race. Obviously, like I said, I've put the AI back to 100 now, but even still, 26th on the grid is never going to be easy, even if I put the AI really low. Even if they were too low, I think it would be difficult from 26th. The only way we'd probably be able to get through from 26th if they suddenly become as slow as they were at Misano. But to be fair, they've seemed pretty quick here, which again is not something I expected. I thought that, to be honest, we'd actually be really quick here because it is a bit of a hard braking circuit, but I think in the last couple of games they have improved the performance at this circuit, so it does show that they do know sometimes which tracks they're bad at, but obviously for whatever reason they just refuse to fix Misano. I don't really know why. They just make them really, really slow there, even though that's been a problem since like MotoGP 19. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame. But without any further ado, let's get this race started then, and hopefully we could try and get up into the top 10.
The riders are all lined up on the starting grid. Just a few moments more, and the lights at Motegi will go out to start the race.
So we've got Ortola then on pole position, Holgado alongside him, Moreira in third place. So those three that have been dominating the championship right at the front. But here we are then, the lights are on, waiting for them to get here for the Japanese Grand Prix. Lights out and away we go, and we've had an absolutely terrible start. Scott Ogden just rode into the side of us. First time I've seen Scott for quite a long time. We've not been this far back for a good while. And up the inside we go into turn 1. We've got a hit full on out the way a little bit there. And Scott comes up the inside of us. So as we were saying, we haven't seen Scott for a while. Scott actually pulls a really good overtake on us and gets himself up into P23. We're just behind him. Can we try and outbrake him into here? Although to be fair, they've been pretty strong on the brakes into here all weekend. I'll say pretty strong, probably a bit too much. And you can see this dirt being kicked up. AI on the inside of the track there, so I don't exactly know what's going on. I've had contact with Scott. Apologies, Scott. He's probably going to be pretty mad at us now. Obviously, we've only just recently become friends on the social media, so he may start to hate us once again. But we've passed a couple of KTMs out the inside of Mario Aggi and up the inside as well of a sniper's bike. We've just hit him out the way. It's Bertelli on Chu's back there. I've just seen, that's Chan on Chu, isn't it? No, Dennis on Chu, sorry. Don't know where I got Chan from. Obviously, Chan has been in Moto3 for years. It's always been Dennis in Moto3 pretty much. But Asman comes past us on the MT Helmets bike. Back up into P19. So much happening on this opening lap. The AI all over the place as well. You can see Ortola's actually out front, so we had to beat Ortola. Again, we've just hit to the side of another AI, so I apologise. I'm really, really all over the place. I think it's going to be playing too much GP bikes. I keep expecting the hitboxes to be slightly bigger. I keep thinking I can get slightly smaller. I feel like I can get closer to the AI than I actually can in these games. Obviously, in MotoGP, the hitboxes in the game, like the collisions, are way off. They're way too big, whereas in GP bikes, it's actually pretty accurate. You can lean right on people. There we are then, up to P18. Too many commentary mistakes on this first lap as well, so I do apologise for that one. But hopefully from here the riding and the commentary can be a bit cleaner. We've got Kaito Toba on the 658 bike in front of us, then David Alonso ahead of him. Looks like there is a CIP bike in there. It must be Salvador, because we've already overtaken Fallon earlier on in the lap. And then it's like Yamanaka at the front, so both of the Gas bikes in this pack in front of us. Then you can see, I think Joel Kelso is ahead of them. But these guys will take us up into the points. So, of course, they are the targets for now. And here we go around the outside. Oh, not quite. I was trying to go around the outside of them into turn 1, but because they were too wide, kind of got a bit stuck. And can we try and get the switch back underneath them? No, we can't. So, unfortunately, nothing we can do so far. But to the left-hand side, can we try and outbrake them into turn 3? Although it will be difficult because, again, like I said, they are braking quite late into this turn. And I'm being forced towards the inside. We've been knocked off there by David Alonso. And down we go. We're back on the bike. I think that's our first crash of the season out of a race anyway. And there we go, right to the back of the field. David Alonso knocks us off. He's pretty slow on this straight, so we should be able to get him. But this is what I mean, the AI just turning on you is such a nightmare, and that's pretty much ruined our race. I mean, our race was going to probably be quite bad as it was, but now it's absolutely disastrous. And now you can see we're 55 points behind Ortola if it ends like this, which is literally impossible to actually gain back. We actually can't beat him if it ends up like this. We've already failed the turning point. So we're back with the pack now then, pretty much. 4 tenths behind Carrasco. We've got a second back to Alonso behind. So we can start having a look at maybe making some passes again now. But obviously we do need to try and get past this group of riders as quickly as possible. Still surprised that Dennis Onchu is actually in this pack. I mean, his AI is really bad in this game for some reason, which doesn't make any sense because he's actually been pretty decent in real life both of the last 2 seasons. So I don't really see what data they're pulling from to put him towards the back because he's not really been anywhere all season. But Carrasco makes a bit of a mistake there in battle with Farioli, leaves the door open, and we're going to try and take advantage of it and try and pass Farioli maybe as well into the V corner. Wow, we have just hit Farioli out the way. And Carrasco's back up the inside, but hopefully we... No, I was about to say hopefully we should be able to beat her down towards the 90-degree corner, but she's got back in front of us. We're back in front of her now, though, on the brakes into the 90-degree. Back up the inside she goes. Sorry, it's a hairpin curve, isn't it? I'm making so many mistakes today. I really apologise, guys. But here we go on the exit of the hairpin curve, down towards the actual 90-degree corner now. And we should be able to overtake Filippo Farioli and go up into P25, which is not really something I was hoping I'd be saying on lap 3. Although, to be fair, he pretty much matched us on the brakes there, dragged us a bit wide because we got a bit stuck on him. We both went pretty wide. We've got him now up into P25. So next up... Oh, actually, no, we're not up into... Well, we are up into P25, but it's not completely done with as he tries to hit us out of the way. I think it is now. So next up, then, is Romano Fenati. I'm not sure how we're 3.3 quicker. Oh, yeah, of course, because we had the crash on the previous lap. I was thinking that, obviously, I'd rode better. 59.1 on that lap. So, to be fair, with all that chaos, not too bad. There's a crash. Oh, who's that down? One of the CIP bikes must be Salvador, because we've got Fallon just in front of us. We picked up a trailer that was warning next. I was looking at that too much. That's sort of saying you can crash in that corner. Well, the AI can crash in that corner. We've just seen it firsthand. Oh, no! Farioli! Come on! They're just ramming me out the way here. I thought I'd got away from him, but of course, because I'm still in the pack with them, I'm still getting pushed further and further back. And we make a mistake through the hairpin curve. It's not actually allowed Carrasco through, surprisingly. So obviously Farioli had sort of gapped Carrasco a little bit. But we're still in P25, making no progress. Fallon's wide. Contact with Dennis Onchu there from Fallon. We're going to try and get Fallon around the outside, so up into P24 now. We've passed Lorenzo. Can we try and do anything to pass Farioli or Onchu? Farioli's wide. We've picked him up a bit. There we go, up into P23. So next up then is Onchu. So Fenati's actually managed to fight his way to the front of this pack, whilst we've been trying to really get past Fenati, because he's been the one in front of us for quite a while now. Onchu just ahead of us. I still don't understand why Onchu's in that pack. Farioli's hit me again. I'll tell you what, if he hits me like one more time, I'm picking the bike underneath him, like picking the bike up. We've got another challenge warning because again we've been put offline, and we're going 3 wide now down towards this 10. We should be able to outbrake them. Yes, we do. Back up into P23 once again then, but I need to dispatch these two as soon as possible because if I stick behind them any longer, I'm just going to get dive bombed again. So here we are then on Onchu down towards the hairpin curve. It seems like Onchu is probably the cork in the bottle of this group because Fenati has pulled away from him a bit and we kind of forced him wide there by how close we passed him. But to be honest, I just didn't want to risk getting dive bombed again by him. And there we go, up into P22 now then. We should be out of range because I think they'll struggle to probably outbreak us into the 90 degree. So again now, Fenati is up next. We are closing on him very quickly. Can we got the inside through this penultimate turn into the chicane? Oh, not quite actually. And we've picked up another Traveller's Warning, so we've only got 2 left now. We've been This has been a tough race for us. Here's the championship standing update. We're getting 0 points currently, just showing us that we're still staying in 4th place, which is lovely. We're doing our personal best lap of the race, but of course it did involve a little corner cut at the final turn there. It's a shame because if we were at the front, this scenario would be perfect. We've got a Leopard 1-2. Oh, Ortola's just gone up to 3rd. It was Rueda in 3rd just before, as I was about to say that. That would be perfect if we were like winning the race to have them push back a bit further. But I think there's still potential of some points on the horizon for us because there's quite a big pack in front of us. But unfortunately, David Alonso really ruined our race. And we're on for by far our best lap of the weekend if we keep this going somehow. So there we are on Asman. He's made a big mistake through the 90 degree. We've taken advantage of it. So we're up into P20. We've been hit by Asman now through the penultimate turn. That's where all the lap time went, obviously with the corner cut on the previous lap. We're still going to be potentially the fastest lap of the race if we can hold this to the line. Yes, it is. 58.3, fastest lap of the race to myself as we take P20. I can see Ogden getting his elbows out in front, so hopefully he can try and help us out. Maybe hold this pack up a little bit, try and help us take advantage because we're running out of laps pretty quickly. You can see this is an Austria-style race though, because we're making big inroads on the leaders. We're only 4.4 seconds behind them now, and everyone's just in one big pack. And there has been a couple of weird corners where there's potentially been crashes, so we could see some leaders crash out. As I say that, someone else crashes out in front. Who is it? I think it's Rueda. So, podium man from the last lap has now dropped back. We're up to P19. But to be honest, there could be some good points up for grabs here if this race pans out like Austria, because there's still 3 laps to go. There's still plenty of action left. So into the hairpin curve. Can we have a look at the inside of Agi? Not quite. I'll just try and hold a tight line so I don't get rammed out of the way. The thing is, I have to ride semi-defensively, which obviously always holds you up very slightly because I'm 3 tenths down on my best lap time, although I suppose I did that in relatively clean air. Down towards the 90 degree corner. My aim is not to outbrake any of them here because I know a lot of them will end up going wide. It's just to get the run through and try to take advantage when they inevitably do so. And to be honest, I absolutely didn't do that. I broke too early, lost too much time, then ended up on the curb and lost even more. So that was a wasted opportunity. Thing is, if I had the braking advantage that I've had in some of the other rounds, I might be able to pick off a couple at once, but I don't really here, which is strange, but I guess it's because they've kind of trained them to be good on the brakes at the track that really requires a lot of braking. A few go wide through turn 1. Can we try and take advantage of that? Bertelli just in front of us. Well, we've just hit Bertelli out the way. Sorry, mate. They were battling him on lap 1 before we got knocked off, so that's how much time it's taken us to get up 8 laps to get back what we lost, really. In terms of track position, anyway. Agi's a bit wide. Also, again, just the lack of torque. When they do go wide, you can't take advantage. There's not enough power in the bike to do so. But we're at the inside of Agi. We're at the inside of Yamanaka. I'm going for it on them, just risking it, even though they might turn in on me. I'm not bothered. Going to just push him out wide a little bit there. Kelso's in front of us, so there is 1 point scoring position right ahead of us, and we still have 2 laps to try and get it. And to be honest, I'm just going to try and take it as soon as I can, just so we can maybe try and get up into that top 10 for that objective. So about to start the penultimate lap of the race. There is the chance for us to score some points, which would be fantastic. And here we go. There's a few riders wide into turn 1. Kelso's one of them. We've passed him now. Munoz was one. So was Ogden. Ogden is right up there. I did say Ogden might be up towards the top 10 this time. I think he's in P12 currently. And here we've got the run on David Munoz since he's made that mistake. We're up into P14. So that's 2 point scoring positions for us now. Forosato is trying to pass Scott Ogden here. Come on, Scott. Try and hold him up so I can take advantage. Scott's going slow. Around the outside we go. Scott, fair enough. Scott's got out of our way. Some riders in front going wide. Nepa being one of them. I think Riccardo Rossi's another, or it's at least a 658 bike. Could be either of them because I don't think we've actually passed Toby yet. There's a crash. Who's that down? I think it ought to be Ortola. I think it was. That was Ivan Ortola down. Yes, we're now 35 points behind him. So Ortola's down. So unfortunately, in the race, we got exactly what we needed, but we've just not had the performance or the luck, really, with the AI to make it happen. But if we can get a top 10 here, we can actually take some decent points out of him. And I think that's still a possibility because we've got Forosato attacking Nepa. That might cost some time. But to be honest, I thought we might see some leaders crash. And Ortola's gone down, which is exactly what we needed to happen. And somebody else has gone through the gravel in front. I've just seen somebody coming out the gravel. In fact, a couple of riders, I think, there. We've just passed the 2 of them through the 90 degrees. We're up to P10. But all of a sudden, it's kicking off in front. The AI are struggling. It really is Austria all over again. Just a bit behind. We're only 2.8 off the leaders now. We've gained another second back on them. And in the championship standings, we've just done the fastest lap of the race as well on that lap, which is hard to believe. And somebody else is off again there. It's one of the Leopards. I think it's Suzuki. What is the AI doing now? The AI are completely losing their minds just like in Austria. This race is madness. Absolute madness. So Sasaki now leads this race. Holgado second. Via third. I don't know where Moreira is, because I'm sure I saw him go through the gravel as well at the 90-degree corner, although it may have just have been the Leopard rider, because I saw him come out of the gravel. Around the outside we go. October. Oh my word, who was that? And someone's off in the gravel there. Is that Sasaki? Is he rejoined the circuit right in front of us? I picked up a trailer this morning there. Sasaki just to rejoin the circuit. But I think Furusato has completely dive-bombed us from absolutely nowhere. And somebody else is off there. It's Holgado now through the gravel. But the AIs do not lose much time when they're in the gravel at all. That's a joke. They don't lose anything. Somebody's off again now. Is that Vea? I'm not too sure. It might be Sasaki. Oh, no, Sasaki's already gone off, isn't he? We're pushing Tober out way. We've just pushed him onto the curb. We're up into P7. There could be a top 5 for the grabs. If someone runs off into the 90-degree corner, all of a sudden, we could be in the top 5. And we're literally not even in the top 10 about a lap ago. Oh, Moreira's just been punted wide by Artigas. Can we do anything into this penultimate turn? The inside of Ricardo Rossi. Try and turn it under him. Out of the last corner on the power. Can we do anything on the run to the line? Side by side with Ricardo Rossi. Can we just mug him? Can we get that P6 off him? I think we might just do it. I don't know if we did it. I don't know if we got him. Oh, not quite. We were literally leveled. We had the same. We had the fastest lap time. Dead heat. That should be my position. That's how it works. They probably measure it to more decimal points in the background. But there we go. What a chaotic race that was. A Leopard 1-2 after all that. And the two Leopard guys are going through the gravel in the last 3 laps. It's unfortunate I wasn't able to take advantage of it more, but to be fair, I feel like I've taken advantage of it more than I did in Austria by getting some positions. Even though the actual finishing position was lower, I feel like in terms of the chaos, I did take advantage and try and gain a little bit there. But a Leopard 1-2 then. Suzuki wins from Masia in second. Holgado ends up in third place. Artigas fourth. Moreira in fifth. Ricardo Rossi just beat us there to sixth place. We end up in seventh. I did do some aggressive passes on those last couple of laps, but I really needed to. And to be honest, 1.1 seconds off the win with that crash. If David Alonso doesn't knock us off, we win that race, which is a massive shame for us. Farioli apparently does the fastest lap, but I guess that is time simulations. And you see Alonso actually ended up in last place anyway, so his stupid move on us that knocked us off, like hitting us up the back, just completely ruined the race, unfortunately. In the championship then, we now have 30 points to gain back on Ivan Ortola, which again is looking pretty unlikely, but we did just take 9 out of him there, although it should have been a lot more with him crashing. I don't think we're going to see him crash again. Obviously, if we picked up the race win, we'd actually be in a position for that to happen. And maybe it is scripted that he's more likely to crash now to help us out, but obviously, unfortunately, we weren't able to make the most of it since we also had our own crash. But Holgado once again takes the championship lead, literally 1 point ahead of Moreira, so super close between those two. 2 race wins back to Ortola now, so Ortola will be running out of chances to win the championship in the next couple of races. We're pretty clear now of the riders behind. We're actually not too threatened by them at all, which is fantastic. We've now got 24 points, almost a whole race wins back to Sasaki, which is great, because before they were really breathing down our neck. But the Leopard riders move up the order as well, so what a chaotic race that was. Really didn't expect it to pan out like that, and to be honest, I'm really thrilled with the result after the way the race started. And the way it was on like lap 7, I'm pretty sure we were still in like 25th on like lap 7 of the race. So the last like 4 laps of the race were ridiculous. We went up from like 20th to like 7th of the race. And in the Teams Championship, there is actually a bit of change here. Leopard move ahead of MTA after a great weekend for them. 6:58, moving ahead of Red Bull KTM Io as well after a disaster for them. Obviously, Onchi was right at the back. Then we saw Rueda, of course, had his crash and put himself right to the back as well. But there we go then. That is the Japanese Grand Prix. Unexpected, for sure. I didn't expect to have to turn the difficulty down going into this race, but I'm glad I did. The race played out very similarly to Austria in the chaotic way that it happened, and they kind of just lost the plot. It seems like the heavy braking circuits, they've kind of forced the AI to go very deep into the turns. And with the new assist that they've got, they don't lose the front as much. And it actually helps them out a lot. They can go around the corners and they're actually a lot faster, I've noticed. However, once the tyre goes off towards the end of the race, the assist doesn't save them anymore. So they then run wide and they run into the gravel and they either crash or they stay on. And that's what causes these crazy races, which is really fun to ride as someone who's struggling in the pace, but it is ridiculous. But hopefully you guys did enjoy that one. I'm glad that it was kind of the polar opposite to the last episode. It was a really, really exciting race. But we'll head back to the career hub now. Of course, we haven't completed the turning point, but also, crucially, we didn't fail it either. But there were points of that race where we were going to fail it because he was over 50 points in front of us, which obviously would be impossible to pull back. So we've managed to pull back the points on Ortola there. We might get some angry messages on the social media because, to be fair, we did do some over-the-line stuff. But to be fair, the AI were ridiculous. They kept ramming me out of the way. I mean, I got knocked off by one of them, so I'm not feeling too sorry for myself. So there we go, then we gained 1,650 RP, which takes us ever closer to Pro. And if we get in the top 10 in the next race, it should put us up into that category. And here we are then back in the career hub. We've got a social media message from Basir. So hopefully this is a nice one, because if it's an angry one, it makes no sense because I literally didn't go anywhere near him in the race. And this is what he says then: it went well, we were prepared for a different race, but we kept biker behind us, and that's okay. We have to continue to work well for the race in Mandalika. Well, he should be pretty happy with himself, because of course he did finish in second position. But of course we will respond nicely to Messiah there. I struggle with being behind you, but I'll try to regain the points I lost in the next race, which of course increases our relationship with him, but it is already pretty high. But there you go then, that was the Japanese Grand Prix. Very, very strange race, to be honest. I didn't expect it to play out in the way it did at all. Obviously we changed the AI performance quite a few times throughout the weekend, but to be honest, by the time we got to the race, I think we about had it right by the looks of it. Also, we were quicker than the back markers, which we should be, and we were pretty much on pace with the leaders once I really started going and was really on the limit. It's weird that I seem to go quicker in the races sometimes, even though technically you should go quicker in qualifying, but either way, it doesn't matter too much. Then we had a crazy ending, just like we did in Austria, which always keeps the career mode nice and fresh, and it really did change the scenario. We're only 30 points now behind Ortola, which is now possible to gain back, but again, it is still pretty unlikely. We need him to crash again, and we need to actually pick up the win next time, which is unlikely because the next circuit is Mandalika, and I don't really like Mandalika as a circuit. I struggle there quite a lot, so I think it will be a bit of a tough weekend for us there. But hopefully you did enjoy that one. If you are new to the channel, please do like the video and subscribe. It does help me out massively. And also then it gives you more MotoGP 23 content in your subscription feed from myself, of course. Career mode, live GP, lots of other different things as well. So if you do like MotoGP 23 content, this is the place to be. But like I said, I hope you did enjoy that one. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you're all stay safe, and I shall see you in the next one.